And I am ridiculously excited today to have with us Mark Farner, the lead guitarist and major songwriter for one of the biggest rock bands of the 60s and 70s, Grand Funk Railroad.
And people know me, when I step onto that stage, they know that I am who my songs say I am.
Wow. How do you feel about vinyl versus CD digital?
Well, vinyl is it. 1975, brothers, I was given a BMI award, a plaque, that shows that my song Bad Time was played more than any other song in 1975.
Do us one favor.
Yeah.
Can you just take us out with I'm Your Captain? You would just be making my day.
Hi, I'm Mike.
And I'm Larry.
Welcome to Manopod,
A podcast dedicated to men over 50.
brought to you by Manopause.com.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another Manopod podcast sponsored by Manopause.com. And I am ridiculously excited today to have with us Mark Farner, the lead guitarist and major songwriter for one of the biggest rock bands of the 60s and 70s, Grand Funk Railroad. They sold over 30 million records worldwide, including 16 gold and platinum records. They actually sold out Shea Stadium faster than the Beatles. Amazing. And then Mark's had a very successful solo career since then, including in the Christian contemporary community. So, by the way, before we get started, I do want to thank Melissa Kuchirik for helping us set this up. She's an amazing publicist.
She is a good gal.
So welcome. We're happy to have you here.
Well, good to be here with you, Larry and Mike.
Thank you.
So I want to start a little selfishly because this is 50 years in the making for me.
Damn straight.
I was a Grand Funk fan from the outset. I was in a high school band. We played your songs poorly. I played bass. And I went to see you in I think it was 1971 when you guys were touring in Europe. I went to your concert in Frankfurt. And I got to say, I couldn't hear a freaking thing for a week afterwards. You guys had those stacks of amps, and you just played on 11. And I also found in my garage these old albums that I bought from back then. You may remember these.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I got the Phoenix one.
All right.
And I got the E Pluribus Funk one. But my favorite one that I wore out, so it's basically got no grooves left in it, is the Grand Funk Live album.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, just absolutely amazing. So, like I said, I am over the moon on doing this. And so Mike's going to start us off with a question.
All right.
So you got me all going, Larry, and I'm all pumped up now. I was a drummer in a band, just letting you know, and they told me when I started playing the drums that, I would get all the girls. That is not true. It's the singers that get all the girls. So sorry to say, but, I used to listen to your songs as well and just a big fan. So thank you for doing this. So one of the questions we want to ask is, what's life today for Mark Farner? And you live in Michigan, right?
Yes, I live in the tip of the mitt.
Wow. All right. Well, what's life like today?
Life is 24 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't have my buck hanging on the pole yet. I've been out. I froze my ass off. I was wet to the bone, and I put in my time. So I'm figuring, a few more times out, I'll either stop hunting altogether, or I'll bag that big one. That's what's going on in my life right now.
Well, that's sweet.
That's awesome.
So, our site is dedicated to men over 50. And the whole idea is, now we can't claim the kind of success that you've had, but we all have success in our own ways, right? In our own careers.
Absolutely.
And so our motto is live life, live young. So the whole idea is that, you have to kind of keep, like the Phoenix album, you got to keep reinventing yourself as one career or one life merges into another, right?
Exactly.
So we want to back up a little bit and say, okay, let's start with what gave you your start in life, which is Grand Funk Railroad. How did that all happen?
Don, the drummer, and I were in a band with 3 other guys, a bass player, keyboard player, and a guitar player. I was, at the time, just stand-up lead singer in this band. We got a gig out in Boston area through Delta Promotions in Michigan, a company that was going. They said, you guys got to go out there and you play these gigs for free, and if people like you, we can actually go back in and make money. Little did we know that we were being paid for every gig, and the people that were supporting us out there were taking that money. So we got snowed in. This was 1969. It was the worst snowstorm ever. We were in little cottages, summer cottages on Cape Cod on the beach. And we're boys from Michigan. We'd never seen the ocean before. We're out there. We're collecting all starfish and shells and, all this stuff. And we got them in the little crawl space below one of these cabins, a summer cabin. And, we got a little collection we're going to take home with us. Well, then when this storm hit, oh, my God, those crawl spaces, the things underneath all flooded, all our shelves and all that stuff got froze into place. The pipes froze. We couldn't use the toilet because there was no water to flush it. It was solid, So we used a chair with no seat in it and plastic in a grocery bag, a paper grocery bag. And then when we get done doing our thing, we go out and stick it in the snowbank. I would have hated to have been there for spring cleanup. I tell you what.
That's good fertilizer, though, isn't it?
Well, long story short, we're there 2 weeks. We're socked in. There's no cell phones. We finally got the guy at the grocery store in East Sandwich, Massachusetts. He let us use the phone. Brewer calls his mom. She Western Union some cash to a drugstore that we hitchhiked to.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Drummer and myself. We pick up the cash, go rent a van, get our equipment, come back. 2 of the guys were married in this band. Their wives made them quit the band. So there we were, bandless. And I talked to Brewer. I said, man, we ought to just do a 3-piece. 3 pieces, like Hendrix was getting a lot of action. Cream,
yeah.
Fresh Cream, man, that first album. And I said, whatever it is, we're going to get somebody that's not married. And nobody's going to stop us from doing what we're going to do. So we go up to Delta Promotions because we want to give these guys a piece of our mind about what happened out there because we found out about the cash. We're sitting in the outer waiting room, and this Promotions had a rehearsal facility in there, and somebody was in there rehearsing. You couldn't see them, of course, but you could feel and hear the bass through the wall. And I looked over at Don. I said, dude, you hearing this bass player in there? He said, that guy's playing that bass. I said, man, whoever that is, we got to just see who the hell that is. They took a break. Out walks Mel Shocker, my old classmate from Kersley High School. And, we rode dirt bikes together. We smoked pot together. We ran together. And I told him, I said, Mel, dude, we're starting a 3-piece band next week. And want to know if you want to be in it. And he says, hell yeah, man, I am so ready to leave this band right now. There was a rub within the band. And the band was Question Mark and the Mysterians. So Mel left Question Mark and joined Grand Funk. We didn't know it was Grand Funk yet. This 3-piece band, we start rehearsing at the Flint Federation of Musicians on Averill in Flint, Michigan. And
shout out to Flint.
Yeah, man. And that's where I wrote most of the first album. Those guys would go, you have lyrics to that jam yet? I go, no. They say, oh, well, we'll go down to McDonald's, and by the time you get back here, you should hit. So I'd write the lyrics while they were gone, and I'd eat my French fries and 2 cheeseburgers when they'd get back.
Wow. So, so you guys, I mean,
wow.
The interesting thing is, after reading some stuff about you and watching some other videos, is that sadly, it seems like with all the success you guys had and the crowds and everything, it seems like that initial thing in Cape Cod was almost like the story of Grand Funk's life, where you guys kept getting screwed by people like Terry Knight. Everybody knows that story about Terry Knight. And it just seems like because you guys were so young, all you cared about was we'll make music and we expect you to pay us when we make the music, and yet you guys got screwed.
Yeah, we sure did. We were making $350 a week, which was more than we'd been making. So we're happy because we got money in our pocket and we got gigs. I mean, being screwed didn't stop me from being a nice guy. I think in some cases, people really take offense to it and develop an attitude towards people. Somehow, brothers, I have been able to hang on to my soul.
Yeah.
Love people in spite of the bullshit they try to heap on you.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's just like right now, brother, in time, people have listened to lies and believed them. They watch the fake news, they buy into it, and they become this hateful individual. I don't know where all these haters came from. Americans ain't haters. We don't tear shit up and burn shit down.
It seems like, it seems like, when you read about the Motown stars and some of the singers in the 50s and they also were getting screwed right and left by their agents. And even Billy Joel, recent times, his agent took him to the cleaners too, and he had to sue him. It's interesting. That's why somebody like Taylor Swift, I'm not crazy about her music, but she sure has a head on her, and she's not letting anybody take advantage of her.
Right.
Yeah, God bless her.
Yeah.
So Mark, what was fame like back in the day? I mean, you guys were playing humongous crowds. What was it like as a young man? What were you were you teens 20s. Or were you early 20s?
20 years old.
Wow. What was it like?
Well, I started playing guitar when I was 15, so things started happening really fast. And like I said, in that incarnation of that band we were in, I was just standing up there, singing in a microphone. I didn't play any instruments. I didn't have to. These other guys were doing it. So when Grand Funk started, I had to switch to guitar and learn, all over again because I hadn't been playing for a year and a half or something like that. But it was really by faith that we were stepping into this. And even though we were getting screwed, we didn't know we were getting screwed.
Right.
This was an opportunity. I told Brewer, I said, Terry Knight is going to screw us. He said, dude, he's in New York. He's got these connections, and at least we'll get out of Flint. And I shit you not.
That's funny.
So that's how it started.
Yeah. You guys became, like I said, I saw you in Frankfurt at a concert. And I think, if I recall correctly, I think it was Humble Pie that opened for you.
Yes.
And my friend and I were there, and we were here we were in Germany because our dads were in the military and we were stationed over there. Huge crowds in Germany, right? Oh, yeah. And it was that way everywhere you went. These huge crowds, and here are these 3 kids from Flint. Like Mike was asking, how did it seem surreal to you that you had that level of success so quickly?
Yeah, well, it was, I was pouring my soul into my songs, and people know me. When I step onto that stage, they know that I am who my songs say I am. And they love that guy.
Yeah.
They love the innocence that I was coming from, a 20-year-old kid, you know, the questions I had that I would ask out loud in a song, you know. So it was like family reunion, boys.
Yeah. Wow.
Every time, you know, and even if it was 180,000 people, man, it's like, yeah, they're here because they love the music. They love the unity of this music that brings us together and makes us want to rock and dance and just be physically involved with this music.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a, you know, pinch me kind of life.
You wrote 2 albums within 4 months of each other, and you were 20 at the time, right?
Yeah.
20. What is the inspiration to write that many songs? Where do they come from? I mean, do you just sit down and start writing, or does something in life happen to you that you just start spewing this out? I mean, that's crazy to be able to write 2 albums back to back like that and hits after, you know, one after the other. How does that happen?
It's in there. I think we all have the capabilities of doing whatever we really want to do. I mean, according to my mother.
Oh, good.
So the songs, you know, they most of them, Mike, started with a jam, just guitar jam, or you know, when I got enough money to buy a B3, it started with a B3 jam. You know, foot stomping music was a jam. When those guys delivered my B3 to my house, and you know, they left, I cranked that sucker up. I started that. And I had the bass pedals underneath the B3, you know, sitting on the bench, bopping my left foot on that C note, bump, 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 and then bump, 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 bump. Come on, everybody. You know, there it was. It was just a jam.
Wow.
When the boys showed up there for rehearsal that day, I said, guys, check this out. And I start rocking it and start singing it. And they go, what the hell is that? I said, it's our new song. It's called Foot Stomping Music. And that song is when I had Brewer double, you know, usually on a shuffle, they tap it out. The drummers will go and on the sax, you know, hi-hat. But I said, I don't want it tapped out, man. You got to kick it out. This shuffle has got to rock. It can't swing. It's got to drive forward. So he, on the bass drum, he went ba-bump, 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 ba-bump. And 1, 2, 3, 4 on a sloppy sax, and 2 and 4 on the snare. And that thing drives just like that, kind of wonderful. It was, you know, foot stomping music slowed down, but the same beat, ba bump, ba bump, ba bump, and it's kind of like your heartbeat. And when you got that backbeat in there, and that organ is just distorted as all hell, and it's driving, man, it's like, yeah, this is rock and roll.
Well, and that's the thing, is that song. That's a concert song, because the words are a little bit irrelevant, right? They're more just, hey, this is foot stomping music, so everybody party, right? But it was that, like you say, that driving beat that got everybody going. But the interesting thing in these concerts was, because I remember, you know, I was probably, I don't know, 16, 17 at the time. And some of the other songs, you know, you had these driving, hard, inside looking out. You had all these great, you know, driving kind of songs. But then you also would throw out a song like Loneliness, you know, or The Railroad, or something like that, where all of a sudden it's like you have to listen to the words. Right. Or Heartbreaker, all those, you know, now, you know, you're used to the bum, 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 but now you're forcing us to listen, you know, and you're talking about things that all of us at that age, saving the earth and controlling our birth and all that kind of stuff. You know, those were the meaningful songs that were just like, oh my God, I love this freaking band so much, because it's a combination of this hard driving music that we can all dance to and play, and then these meaningful songs that you sit there and you reflect on.
Thank you. I appreciate the encouragement, Larry.
Yeah. I mean, amazing.
Hey, Larry, where were you, you know, 40 years ago? Come on.
Yeah, 50 years ago. I mean, that's 50 the thing.
Years ago.
Yeah. I mean, which is crazy. Now, that then evolved. I mean, all the success and all these great songs and everything evolved sadly into legal issues that go on almost, I think, to this day. And so how did you kind of feel about that? I mean, it seems like there were two teams. It was like you, and then it was Mel and Don that kind of fell into another group. And I know you because of your beliefs and just because of who you are, you're a forgiving person. I saw one interview you did where you even forgave Terry Knight before he was sadly murdered. So what's like? How did that affect you? And what's your relationship now with Don and Mel?
Hello there, I'm John O'Hurley. Do you have FOMO, fear of missing out? Well, I did, and it frightened me. But no more, because I found Manopause.com, the site for men over 50. You'll never miss out again. Manopause.com is overflowing with articles, videos, and podcasts about sex, travel, sports, entertainment, health, and so much more. Manopause.com.
Well, like I said, Larry, who I am inside, I am a forgiving person. We all are our true nature, but we've been convinced of some indebtedness, this phony shit that life kind of dumps on your head. The thing about it, Larry, is it's accumulative. It builds up, and the more debt, and it's not financial debt. That's part of it, but the debt of unfulfilled expectations of other people, will build up on you. And if you don't deal with it correctly, if you don't get in touch with who you are, you're not this bone suit. This bone suit is going to expire. You are the spirit within. And when you learn that, and when you get in touch with it, you will never let go of it. There isn't a man or woman alive that could convince you to leave that place.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so you and Mel and Don still kind of talk to each other and at least have a non-toxic relationship at this point in time?
Yes, the last time I saw those guys physically, was there with them, was in the courtroom in Grand Rapids, Michigan, federal court. They were suing me for
using the name or something.
My trademark, Mark Farner's American Band. Well, I have to tell you, brothers, when American Band came down, Brewer took Lynn Goldsmith's advice. She said in the limo one time as we were going to a gig, you guys need to write a song about who you are. You're an American band. So Lynn Goldsmith, our publicist, God bless her, put that into play. Don comes into rehearsal with lyrics, and, he can't really play an instrument, but he had the idea in a two-note kind of guitar thing. So I said, well, what about this? What about that? Wow. So I said, this song needs a cowbell. A cowbell? He said, I don't have a cowbell. I said, you got to have a cowbell. So he says, okay, man, I'll pick one up and I'll have it for rehearsal tomorrow. I said, no, man, pick up 6 because we got to pick a badass bell, man. So he brought 6 in. We found one that didn't go tink, tink, tink. It went bang, bang, bang. Yeah. And by the way, that song got number 2 in Rolling Stone as the top 10 cowbell songs. That was number 2, only preceded by Honky Tonk Woman.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Right. Of course. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So that cowbell was important. The drum intro. I taught that drum intro to Brewer because I heard it in my head, just like, I hear things. Yeah. So I had a lot to do with that. The background vocals, the music, the changes. I wrote all of that. Don comes to me after the recording session and says, Mark, I've never had 100% right credit on any song. Can I have it on this one? I said, go ahead. You know why? Because, brothers, I'm a nice guy. That didn't change me. Even though the circumstances, they try to screw me over with that. And I wrote that. I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
It's just crazy kind of to think that. But people, I don't know what drives people like this. It's hateful. I don't know, get back at you. I'll get you. You got to let go of that stuff if you really want to live.
Well,
Right.
not to interrupt you, but I think when you have a situation like, and I'm not comparing you to them, but like look at the Supremes, right? You had the Supremes, and you had one girl, Diana Ross,
Yep.
that was way more charismatic and talented than the other two. And so as a result, it became Diana Ross and the Supremes, and then it just became Diana Ross, right?
Yeah.
And so, it's almost, I could see how if you're in a huge band like that and one guy stands out, that over time, it could build up resentment. I mean, to me, the saddest story in the world, and Mike and I have talked about this at length, is a guy named Pete Best. And I'm sure you know who he is. He was the drummer for the Beatles until he wasn't. And then Ringo took over, and 6 months later, they become the biggest band ever in the 20th century, right?
Right on.
How do you go on? How do you go on unless you follow your advice to say, right, oh my God, 6 more months and I would have been part of this huge thing, right? So, yeah. I mean, I can see how maybe those guys would feel like, they were more accessories rather than real members of the band, because you wrote the music, you sang the music, you were the face of Grand Funk. And so you could see how unless you have the ability to let it go, like you're talking about, that you might have that issue. And it seems to me, at this age, the smartest thing for them to heal those wounds would be for you guys to play together again, right?
Yeah.
As a group.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it's what I have suggested for the past 20 years, Brother Larry. But every time I bring it up, it's scoffed at. And I'm a 1/3 shareholder of the corporation. Even though they threw me out as a member of, I was the vice president, I had a position. Now I'm a shareholder. And everything that they do, they do because it's 2 out of 3. It doesn't make it right. But, I can't influence them except my music that they play.
Right.
And I wrote 92% of the original music, the Grand Funk music.
And who owns the copyright to that? Grand Funk or you?
For the first 6 albums, Terry Knight.
Right.
Good Night Productions, Storybook Music published my stuff. And then when the Phoenix album came out, I switched and I had my own publishing company. Little did I know that I could have had it. Yeah, brother. I could have had it the whole time, but that's when Cram Renrath was started. And now I publish my own stuff. When I put out a song, I go out, I promote that song. I deserve the publishing on that song.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow. So I have a question. Look, moving more into the menopausal time of our lives, right?
Yeah.
I'm noticing for myself when I was a teenager, listening to Grand Funk Railroad and other bands, that I wouldn't know the words. I would know the beat, and I wouldn't really take the words into my thought pattern because I'm either doing a doobie or just having a party or just getting into it. And I didn't really appreciate the music as much as I do now. And I'm listening to the words now because I'm not getting high or having a party or whatever I was doing at the time. Now I'm actually forcing myself to listen to the words, and I'm your captain. I mean, I sit there and listen to the words of that song, and it's an amazing thing, right? Do you feel that when you guys, do the words have a different meaning to you of the songs you've written today than they did back in the day?
No, I haven't really, gone in there and tried to analyze any of it because it was coming from my heart when I was writing it, and
Right.
it's still the same heart. So I don't do that. I just know that most all of that stuff was prior to the video BS that occurred,
Right.
and in my estimation, that destroyed our imaginations.
Interesting.
WNEW, New York City, they took a poll because they wanted to get 100 people's definition of the song Bridge Over Troubled Water. They got 100 diversely different definitions. Why? There was no video.
Right.
And brothers,
Right.
this
That's a good
is
point.
what's missing in our music. We don't have that imagination going now because there's a damn video showing you what they want you to see. And
Right.
oops, sorry about that. And to me, that just ruins the opportunity for you to expand your imagination.
Well, it's kind of the difference
Wow, that's
also
a great
between
point.
watching TV and reading a book. If you read a book, whatever you interpret is how it's going to be, as opposed to watching it locked into a certain thing on TV or in a movie or something like that. That's why so many people, they read a book and they go to the movies and they're like, God, the book was way better, because their version in their head, they saw it one way and they see it on the screen. They're like, that's not what I thought it was going to be.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
There.
So I got another interesting question for you. I don't know what it's based on. Why are there so many freaking good musicians from Michigan? I mean, you got Stevie Wonder, Kid Rock, Glenn Frey, Sonny Bono, you, Ray Parker Jr., Ted Nugent, Iggy Pop. I mean, the list goes on and on. What is it? They used to talk about Seattle being this sort of nursery for musicians. But you look at Michigan and it's like, holy crap, this wide variety of unbelievably talented musicians. What's going on in Michigan?
Well, don't forget Wayne Kramer in the MC5.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
I think I had him on my list here. And Bill Haley, too, in the comments.
And I sincerely believe it was because of General Motors and Ford and Chrysler having the plants that drew people from every state in the Union. And just so happens my mother was born and raised in Leechville, Arkansas. And when she was 16 years old, she moved to Flint, Michigan, because her whole family came. Uncle Woody, my grandpa Cotton, all these people that came, they brought their violins, they brought their guitars, they brought their instruments. And every Sunday at our house, you were going to have either sloppy joes or Southern fried chicken and a whole lot of music, a whole lot of music. I'm talking, oh my God, boys. This was when music, when I was a little kid and I'd hear those women harmonizing because their family, they got this undeniable tight harmony and just the most beautiful notes and you're a little kid. I'm going, wow, looking up at those gals singing and looking over at the guys playing the music. And I mean, that's what I was raised at. That's where this music came from. And my love for the music, it's in me. And I believe it is in those of us, even if you can't play an instrument, you can appreciate what that instrument can do.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. How do you feel about vinyl versus CD digital?
Well, vinyl is it for sound. If you play the vinyl through a JBL D130 15-inch speaker,
then you can't hear anymore. You can't hear anymore.
You don't turn it to that loud, Larry.
Yeah.
You get it to where it's like, just vibrating your pant legs a little bit.
Mark, what are your 5 top favorite songs of your albums, of your list?
Of course, I'm Your Captain. That would be number 1.
That's my number 1.
Thank you. let's see. To get back in. To get back in. To get back in. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
And I Come Tumbling.
Mm-hmm.
Pluribus Funk.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Bad
Bad Time.
Time has to
Bad
be on
time.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bad Time. 1975, brothers. I was given a BMI award, a plaque that shows that my song Bad Time was played more than any other song in 1975.
Wow.
It didn't go to number one, but it got played more than one it did. You know?
Yeah.
And a last one would be No Lies.
That was also on the E Pluribus Funk, wasn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what about, like, one of my favorites is Paranoid. We used to play that. Love that song. And then The Railroad is also a really good one because it's got a really sort of sad but inspiring message in it as well. And the music is this, kind of old style blues kind of thing.
Yeah, man. And live, Larry, we still do Railroad live. And live, that song, man.
Yeah, I bet.
Oh, yeah.
It puts that unity in the audience, and everybody's feeling that in their gut.
I bet.
Yeah, man. When we first started, and I don't play the first verse. I kind of let that keyboard do it when we do it live. And so those words that you're talking about go right straight to the heart, and it really works.
Yeah, wow.
And I love playing.
So we're gonna have some questions for you that we like to ask people. But before we do that, tell us a little bit about the charity that you set up for Michigan flood victims.
Mid-Michigan Flood Relief.
Yeah.
It's GoFundMe charity. It's Mark Farner's Mid-Michigan Flood Relief. And my wife and I were watching local news when this flood occurred and the dams broke. And we have friends who lived on those lakes. And they sent us videos and the devastation. It was up for like one day on the news and then it's like gone because they got to divert your attention to something else.
Cycling. Yep.
Yeah.
So, but the people who are victims of this, the flood, they don't know. They lost everything. Can you imagine just everything gone, is washed away? So we started the GoFundMe to raise money to give to the Michigan Red Cross, who is on hand down there.
Right.
Taking care of these families and who are victim to the flood.
Well, we're gonna put the URL on the screen so people can donate. Because they don't need a lot, but they need help.
Yeah.
And so we definitely want to reach out with that.
Thank you. God bless you.
We're gonna start with some questions that are sort of broad, but again, trying to bring us back to the whole Manopause situation, the idea of what gets you up in the morning, what do you need to do to reinvent yourself? And obviously you're doing that. And by the way, before we start, I don't know if you've ever seen Daryl Hall's from the show he does from his house. Yeah. Yeah. You should do that.
Yeah.
You should do that.
Tell him.
Yeah. No, I mean, you should do your own. And bring in a bunch of bring in Kid Rock, bring in some of these guys and do a 30-minute, reality show. I think it'd be huge.
Because you have the great setup back there. Yeah. And that's beautiful.
And all these guys. I think that'd be a huge hit. And we'll be your managers. We'll go ahead and get the ball rolling on that if you're interested in that. And by the way, you'll write the contract and we'll sign it. So.
Yeah, Farner's Funny Farm.
There you go.
There you go. Great name. Yeah. Great name. So Mike's gonna start us off.
Yeah, thanks a lot for this question. But okay, all right, Mark. What's your favorite curse word? Because I've heard you use a few of them already in this interview. So what's your favorite?
God damn it.
All right.
So
you know
now-
why?
Why?
Because people are superstitious about saying that. They go, "Oh my God!" Well, I'm going to tell you something. I straightened Billy Preston out on this before he passed, and he thanked me because
Loved him.
he would say that, and then he'd go, "Oh my God!" I said, Billy, the word says, "Thou shalt not take the Lord thy God's name in vain." It's not use the Lord thy God's. Take, and you look it up in the Strong's Exhaustive Concordance, and that take is as a woman takes her husband's name. And us Christians, we all take our Redeemer's name, Christ. That's the taking. It's not the use. It's not the use.
Wow.
Words are words. Words are words, and they're only words. The thing that will give them weight and give them prominence is we've already been told, this programming says, "Oh, that's bad. I can't say that." Oh, so I slipped and said it. Oh God, am I going to hell? Well, guess what? There's no hell, so you ain't going. Seriously.
So what about the song, which was always kind of one of my favorite songs because I was a teenager and I like to use the word. And you were clever enough to spell it backwards, TNUC.
I did?
Well, somebody did.
Yes. Yeah, but they're merely symbolic initials.
True.
With a period.
That's right.
A period.
It could mean anything. It could mean anything. Right. All right.
All right.
So my question.
Oh, go ahead. I thought you had a question.
So my question now is, in looking over your life and thinking about maybe some regrets that you might have, if you had the opportunity to go back and talk to 20-year-old Mark Farner, what would you tell him?
Well, I live without regret. Each lesson that I have learned from my experience is tallied up, and it all equals peace, because I had to go through those things to be where I am today. And where I am today, I like it.
By the way, you've been married for 42 years, right?
That's right.
That's awesome. Wow. That's awesome. Mike and I've been married 37, and together 36. With my wife for 42, and Mike's been married for 36. And it's work. No. It's work.
Yeah.
You know?
Not for me. It's easy for me, but are you saying it's work for you? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He's in trouble now.
If you're not working in your marriage, that's why they end. Because it's so easy to throw stuff away, right?
Yeah.
And blame other people for what you think is the problem. So it takes a lot of work to last as long, especially for somebody like you that is famous and people are constantly coming at you. It's even harder for you to, I think, to accomplish what you have. And so congratulations on that.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that so much.
Yeah. So Mark, what inspires you now? What kind of music inspires you, or where do you want to go with your music in the next 10 years?
I don't turn the radio on in my vehicles. I never listen to other music because I want to keep that inspiration coming. I want it clear. I don't want it interrupted by what they were playing at the gas station when I was pumping gas, because sometimes those songs get in there. You can't change the channel. For days you're hearing one song. I thought, where the hell did this come from? Well, I remember where it came from, the gas station.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm just keep it open, and I'm looking for that new groove.
Cool.
So how do you want to be remembered? 30 years from now when you're just about ready to move on?
As somebody that understood the implication of debt consciousness and dealt with it, and passing that forward to those who want a free mind. Free. Love wants us free. So, go to the love. It's in each one of our hearts. And when you give it up to love, your marriage will last for 43 years too, or more.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think, again, a message for guys hitting this age, which often leads to kind of depression and soul searching. Your example of reinventing yourself and not letting stuff weigh you down, moving forward, coming up with new ideas, doing what you want to do. I think that's a great inspiration to our audience.
Thank you very much. And I have to move on, brothers.
Absolutely.
Okay,
And
Mark, do us one favor.
Yeah.
Can you just take us out with "I'm Your Captain"? You would just be making my day.
Everybody, listen to me and return me my ship. I'm your captain. I'm your captain. Though I'm feeling mighty happy right now, brothers.
Woo!
all right. Thanks, Mark. We really appreciate it. All
Awesome.
right.
Great to meet you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Have a
Thanks,
great
care.
day.
Thanks, Mike.
All right. Thanks.
All right.
Take care.
I'll see you in the future. I'll see you in the pasture.
There you go. Bye-bye.
Hello, I'm John O'Hurley. Just imagine, if you will, discovering your podcast Shangri-La. Well, imagine no more Manopod podcasts from Manopause.com for men over 50. Podcasts about sex, sports, travel, entertainment, life, and so much more. Oh, yes, that enchanted podcast site you could only imagine is here now on your favorite podcast channels. Manopod podcasts from Manopause.com. Shangri-La indeed.